until the next cute project comes up. This is the cutest one ever right now, right? Isn't that how it goes? When the next one comes in next month, then we're like, oh, this is the cutest project ever. So I just want to make sure I catch as many as I can. As you are coming in and joining me. Welcome, welcome, welcome. If I haven't met you before, I'm Michelle. Oh, Carolyn, I see your palm tree. I would rather be there because it's really cold here.
Okay, I'm not there. I'm in Utah where it's snowing.
Oh, is it currently snowing there?
Not right now, no. I just put that in my background.
I would too.
Because I wish I was there.
Yeah, don't we all, huh?
Let me find my
What do you say, ladies? Don't we all need a place to go where it's like warm at this point, huh? All right, we have such a large group today. So I'm going to give just a couple more minutes before I get started here. I hope everybody had a very safe and wonderful New Year's, and we are ready to go ahead in 2023, and we can kick 2022 to the curb. I can see all of your cute faces and palm trees. All right, just one more minute, and then I'm going to go ahead and swing the camera around, and we're going to talk about our little project a little bit. I really like this. This one was really fun, and with Valentine's Day coming up, it's never too early to plan for that. And if you don't have a Valentine, you don't need a Valentine. You can make a Valentine's gift for yourself. Okay, just kind of hanging out, waiting to see. All right, I'm going to go ahead and get started. I'm going to move the laptop over here so I can see if people start showing up. And then let me bring the camera over to the table. All right, this is what we're doing. We're doing Hey Sweetie on a towel. So I love this project. It was fun. It's really user friendly, and it's really pretty quick actually. And it's always kind of a nice gift if you need a little gift around. I'm going to go over what is in your little kit that you got. First of all, if you bought the kit, you got a piece of adhesive back stabilizer, sticky stabilizer, that's going to fit in a 5x7 hoop. If you don't have a 5x7 hoop, it's fine. Just use whatever size hoop you have. You might have to use some of your own stabilizer because this one might not fit. But what you're going to want is an adhesive back wash away stabilizer. That means that when we wash the towel, the stabilizer goes bye-bye. You're also going to have in there a little piece of topper, embroidery topper. This is wash away topper. Topper like this comes in two different types. One is wash away and one is heat away. So if you were going to use it on like a fuzzy bath towel or something and you wanted to block the pile of the bath towel forevermore, you'd want the heat away because you wouldn't want it to wash away after the person started using the towel. So, but for this towel, we have a smooth surface, so wash away is fine. I use topper anytime I have letters that have satin stitching in them. I just feel like no matter what your fabric is, that it holds those stitches on the top of the fabric so that they are really nice and bold and pretty. So this is more about our lettering up here than this down here, even though we're going to put it on for the whole design. But this is more about this and keeping that up on the top of your fabric so that the letters can't fall in. All right. Then you got a towel This one is the first one I started with. This one's pink. Today I'm using a red one. I think we shipped out all the pink ones. And then you're going to have a piece of fabric that has cherries on it. And it's already going to be pre-backed for you. It's got SF101. So if you're a newbie, SF101 is a stabilizer that's woven, and it irons onto the back of your cotton fabric to give it just a little bit more body in times where you expect that it's going to need to have that. Like a towel is going to get washed more frequently than, say, a quilt. Or also anytime you have a lot of embroidery that's going to sit on top of a cotton, having a backing on it makes it really kind of nice. And then you're going to find in there 2 pieces of gingerbread colored felt, and that's for the center of the little pie here. As well as that, you're going to need 3 different colors of thread: a pink, a red, and a gingerbread brown color. If you want to use all pink, or all red, I don't care. It's up to you. There's no thread police. So you do you. I'm going to follow the directions. You'll also need, I'm sorry, go ahead.
Now, what color is your brown? It's a glide, it looks like. Oh.
Yeah, it's a darker brown. It's an exquisite color, but when I put all the browns we had in the store, because it says on the thing, it says like ginger or something. Well, that ginger can be open for, you know, I mean, if you're looking at the inside of the ginger, it's kind of light color. If you're looking at the outside of the ginger, it's kind of a brown color. But I just looked at the fact that how do I want my stitching to show? And I really wanted the stitching to show on the felt. So I went ahead and chose the darker of the brown shades.
Can you tell us what that exquisite number is?
I can. So this is exquisite ES841. And then the pink that I'm going to use today is ES307. And the red-ish, I guess, is ES1240.
1240. Thank you.
Yeah. You're welcome. And then as always, when I start a project, I like to put in a fresh bobbin so I don't run out of bobbin in the middle of my design. Nothing's worse than playing bobbin chicken and losing. And then you're going to have a little hand towel in there that we're going to sew on. What I love about these projects is I think that Kimberbell projects set you up to be successful right from the start. And this one was no exception. We're going to sew out a placement line. We're going to fold and press. We're going to fold our towel, which reminds me, I'll turn the iron off a little bit here so I can do that part. We're going to fold and press the towel to where we'll quarter it according to the directions on the sheet, on the direction sheet. And it's going to center our towel for us. So we don't even have to worry. Once it's stitched out that placement line, we folded our towel, we put it on the hoop according to the directions on the placement line, then we are good to go. We don't have to worry about any placement after that. And that's one of the things that I think is the hardest thing for new embroiderers to learn is how do I get the pie where I want the pie to go? Well, in the Kimberbell design, it took care of it for you. You're also going to need some tape to tape things down. I have some Kimberbell tape here. Kimberbell tape is paper tape. I do love paper tape because it really sticks, but it comes off easily. But you can also use what we call transport tape. This is like a medical tape. It also sticks to fabric really well and comes off really well too. So whatever tape you have will be fine. You're going to need some scissors. So part of the what I think is a good learning lesson in this project is we are going to have to cut a lot of little tiny holes. And if you have big honking scissors, those holes aren't going to be little tiny like that. So what I use more than anything is 2 different kinds of scissor. One is for this kind of a project. One is what we call a double curve. A double curve means that it's curved here so it fits in your hoop, and it's curved up here so it's got kind of a rounded edge. The other one I use is a single curve. So it's still curved here so that it fits over your hoop and you can cut into the hoop, but it's flat here. So I'll be using one of these 2 throughout the class today when it comes to cutting and trimming these little tiny holes. The other one I use a lot is I like these little OESD nipper things. They've got like a little curve there at the end. So if I have something, a piece of thread or something, I can put this little part of it underneath the thread and then just close it, and it just snips everything right off. So I like a curved snip. I'm going to use my seam ripper to score my stabilizer. I like it because the tip is sharp. You have to be careful though that you don't cut all the way through the stabilizer below. And then I think that's about it as far as having stuff we have to have on hand. So let's take a look at the directions. And I've got my iron turned on here, and I'm going to move my pressing mat over so that I can do this while you're here in front of me.
Jenny, I'm new, so do you just send the designs to us by email, or how does that go? Just
So
curious.
the designs, it's Michelle, but
Oh,
that's
Michelle,
okay.
sorry.
It's just, no, don't be sorry. It's just Jeannie's Zoom account.
Okay.
And I work at the store. So usually we bounce back and forth. So how this works is when you sign up for the Dealer Digital 2023 Club, you will go to kimberbell.com and create a username and a password. And so you're essentially creating an account at Kimberbell. And
Okay.
then every month, the design and the directions are loaded into your account. Does anybody need the design? Because Jeannie can send it.
Now that they've been added.
Yeah,
Everybody has it?
I need it.
Is it Cora? Cora,
This is Cora.
Cora, what's your last name, Cora?
Bagley, bag like a paper bag, Ley.
Cora, did you already purchase it?
Yes, I did purchase it
Okay,
the same time I
so-
purchased the kit.
Okay, so I'm just gonna go ahead and email it to you, and then, because you've already
Perfect.
purchased it, but then you can always get it on, you're gonna just get it directly from Kimberbell on the first of the month. But I'm gonna send it to
Okay.
you right now with the instructions.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it. Thank
Yeah,
you.
no worries. No worries. Thank you for mentioning that. Yes, if you're new to the Kimberbell thing, or you're new to the whole Dealer Digital thing, then it's like you got to learn the ropes, huh?
Yes, I do. Thank you.
All right, so no worries. I'm going to take a peek here and see what it wants me to do first. So I am going to move on to page 4, I think is where I'm going to start. And we went over some of the supply lists that we have and what's in there. The wash away sticky back stabilizer, the wash away topping, your fusible backing is already applied to your red piece of fabric. And so I'm going to go ahead and start on page 5, which is part 2, the project. So first of all, to center the tea towel, your project came with 2 files. One file looks like this, it's like a crosshair, and then the other is the pie. So the first thing I'm going to do is load the paper, the adhesive back stabilizer into my 5x7 hoop. I'm trying to make sure you can see all angles of that. All right. So I'm going to take this, and if you're new to hooping, I like to open my hoop up enough that I don't have to really shove to get the interior of my ring of my hoop in there, because I can always tighten it a little bit more once the ring is in there. So I've got that in there pretty snugly. If I need to pull in any snugger, I can pull in from the sides. Don't pull this way, pull this way. This way tightens it, this way pops the top off your hoop. And then I'm just going to go ahead and finger tighten a little bit from the bottom, and that's all nice and snug in there. To score, you can score this with a pin, you can score it with the tip of a scissor. There's lots of different ways you can score it. I love my my seam ripper for scoring. So I'm just going to make an X, or you can score around the outside edges if you want. And then I'm just going to pull up one side with the seam ripper to get it started. And then I'm just going to tear the off. You want to leave the sticky behind, so you're not really pressing with the seam ripper or the pin or whatever you're using, the scissor. You're just actually kind of just scoring the paper, not all the way through. And this kind of gets it all ready for you. and gets all of the excess paper off of there. You can tell I like to do it this way. I've done it this way a time or two, so it works really quite quickly for me. All right, so I have my hoop ready. And now I'm gonna just skip ahead one step because it says load the centering line. And so the centering line, I'm actually going to fold and press my towel first. All right, so I'm going to set this aside for a moment and I'm going to bring my mat over here. So the first thing I'm going to do, I really like to press towels out all the way before at least the sewing area. So I don't have little wonky, things like this. So I'm turning mine to the wrong side only because I don't know if there's anything stuck to the back of the iron because we all use it. So I'm just going to give it a press.
Michelle, do you
Yes.
need to pre-wash the towel?
I don't. But if it's something that you're going to use a lot, so when I do mine, I don't pre-wash them, but I don't throw my towels that I've embroidered on like this. I don't throw them in the dryer. I wash them and I wash them a lot over and over again. But when I get them done, I shake them out and I just hang them to dry. And I haven't had any problem with shrinkage. But if you're a I love my dryer kind of gal, then it's something to consider for 100% cotton towels.
Would this be considered a washable project even with the felt?
Yes, felt is washable. I know we don't think about that, huh? You're like, ooh, it's kind of fuzzy. Can I really throw it in the, well, most felt today is polyester. It's not wool. It used to be wool felt a long time ago. And you can still get wool felt, but most of the project felt now is polyester. So it doesn't shrink and it actually doesn't bleed or anything anymore. So we're kind of set with that. All right. So the first thing it wants me to do is fold the tea towel in half lengthwise with the right sides together, aligning the edges. So that's this, right sides together, long edge, align the edges, and it says to finger press. So I'm actually going to finger press using my fingernail. And I know that in a minute, I'm going to have to do this up 5 inches. So I'm going to make sure that right around the 5-inch mark that I have a nice mark. So you can see I have a nice mark that I can follow there. All right, now that I've done this, now it wants me to measure up 5.5 inches from the bottom of the tea towel and mark this point with a straight pin placed horizontally. However, let's see if I can find a straight pin. I didn't think about that one. Okay, I just pulled it out of a different project. All right. So now that I have that part done, now it wants me to measure up from the bottom 5.5 inches and mark that with a point. So I've opened up the towel so I can find 5.5 inches. And I'm going to mark this with a point, with a pin. But I'll tell you my trick here. I'm not going to go all the way across here. I'm going to just keep it on one side because that's my center mark. I'm going to actually fold the towel up and finger press again. So I'll keep the center crease aligned. So that means the center here, I'm going to align the centers to center. Here's my mark. I can see it. Is that 5.5? That doesn't look like 5.5. How big is this ruler? Oh, it's only a 4-inch ruler. No wonder why it looks a little off. All right, let me see if I can find a bigger ruler here. Oh, here we go. Okay, now we'll get the real 5.5, right? Oh, that looks much better. I'm like, wait a minute, that looks a little low. There is no hard, fast rule. I mean, the goal is that you get it centered. But I kind of like the way the first one came out. So I'm going to go with that. All right. Now I have that part marked and that looks more like 5.5. So I'm going to fold it, keeping this fold line that I did my finger press even. And then I'm gonna do the same thing. I'm gonna give it a good finger press with my nails right here. All right. So I'm gonna fold my towel back in force. And then I'm gonna take this and fold it up where my 5-inch mark was. So this is what you should end up with. This is how, when we have an X on the hoop, we're gonna lay this down so that this is in the center mark. This is on the line here. This is across the line here. And then we're gonna do this and this. So let's together make sure that our centers are together with the right sides together, and then fold up where that 5-inch mark was that you just made. And this is ready to go in our hoop when we're ready to place it. So let me bring a close up down of this. So I am right sides together. You can see that my red banner's on the inside, right sides together. And then this part is folded up 5 inches from the bottom. Okay. All right. So now I'm going to move over to the machine. Let me pause this so you don't need Dramamine. If it will let me get in there. Come on. Me those little, there we, whoop, whoop, bring them back. Okay. All right, let me move the computer. I see somebody chatted in the chat box, so let me check that. Oh, Donna, do you still need the download, Donna? Donna, if you're there, can you hear me? Okay, so while we're stitching today, yes, sorry, can't get my speaker to work. Donna, tell me what your last name is so that I can have Jeannie send it to you. Carl, okay. Hang on one second. Hey, Jeannie. Donna, Carl needs the download for Kimberbell class. So it would be in, I don't know. Donna, Carl needs to download too. She had put it in the chat box. Okay. All right. Okay, so I'm gonna try and keep my eye. You're welcome. I'm gonna try and keep my eye on the chat box if I can. But if you, I'll check periodically. But if for the rest of you, if your speaker works, just unmute yourself. So because you'll get my attention much faster that way. All right. So I'm on a Solaris today. I am using a 7511 anti-glue needle and a full bobbin of thread. And I'm going to go get my design. So the first part of the design that you should be sewing is the centering crosshairs. And I'm going to select that design, and then I'm going to select set. And so this is kind of, it's blue. It doesn't matter what color you sew it in. Usually what I do is sew it in, and here's why it doesn't matter. When you wash the towel, your stabilizer is going to wash away. You are sewing this placement line on the stabilizer. That means that when you wash the towel, this is going to go away. So it doesn't matter what color you use. I am going to start. Let's see what color we're going to use first. That's usually what I do since it's going to wash away. We are going to start right away by sewing down the red piece of fabric. So that means I'm going to do my crosshairs in red because then I don't have to change thread again. So I'm going to go ahead and thread up in the red. Here's my 5x7 hoop with my stabilizer in it. And just slide it underneath there and latch it down. And then I'm going to go ahead and thread with my red thread. Come on.
Do you need to use non-stick needle, or can you use a regular needle?
You
with
can
the
use
wash
a
away?
regular, yeah, you can use a regular needle. What I will tell you is that what the nonstick needles are designed to do is if you do a lot of these projects that have wash away stabilizer, you won't get the buildup on your needle as quickly with the nonstick needle, because the adhesive just won't stick to the surface of the needle. But what I have at home as well, and it works pretty well as also is there are those adhesive tape remover pads they use in the hospital to take the tape off of patients so that they don't damage their skin. And I usually keep those right next to my sewing machine so that if I happen to not have one of those needles, or if I get sticky stuff on my needle, it's just an easy, fast way to clean that needle off and just keep stitching so I don't waste any time. All right. So my first thing is done, which is my crosshair. This is what your hoop should look like, regardless as to what size it is. You should have just that one crosshair right smack in the middle. If you have a bigger hoop, you'll just have more surface area around it. It's okay. I'm done with this design, so I can just go ahead and get rid of this one. And I am going to place my towel down now. So I'm going to move my hoop over to the table and take you guys with me. In a moment here, let me. I'm trying to teach myself not to swing the camera around because I'm not watching at the other end, but you guys are. So I'm trying to where you don't need Dramamine to do your Kimberbell class. All right. Come on. Okay. All right. So here's my hoop, and I want to note the orientation of my hoop. This is the side of the hoop that's going to go back on the machine. So this is going to go to the back of the machine. This is going at the front of the machine. So when I take my towel, my folded towel, I want to place it so the excess towel goes to the back of the machine. All right. So that means I'm just going to do 1/4. All right. So I actually put this down on that first line. Here's the mount that goes on my machine. The excess is in the back. And then I'm going to bring this down here. Remember, when I folded this in half for the 5, there's the line for the 5. So I just put that corner from the towel where I folded in the corner of the cross mark. I'm going to fold this part down now. All right. So again, this is going to go on the machine. That's going to go in the back of the machine. And then once I've got this down, all I'm going to do is just open up my towel and smooth it out. Wasn't that nice? I love the way they do that. Makes it really easy for you. And now I know that my design is placed where I need it to go, is going to be placed where I need it to go. I folded my towel, I measured, I put my towel exactly on the line. I'm good to go. All right. I'm going to turn my hoop over so you can see what it looks like. Okay. You can see my thread here for my placement line. It's going to wash away. You're going to wash away this stabilizer that's on the back of the towel. That thread's going to come off with it because it's not sewn to the towel. It's sewn to the stabilizer. All right, let's take our towel back over and get it back on the machine. All right.
While you're setting that up, I wanted to ask you, do you send us links ahead of time of what's going to come out the following month? Do we get that a little bit early so we can?
So
go
your
ahead and
design
sign up?
always comes out on the first of the month. So the design
Okay.
and the design and the directions will come out on the first of the month. But
Okay.
obviously I sewed this in the middle of the last month. So usually we know what's coming and we'll do like a sample. And
Oh, good.
then that way you'll know, from there.
Thank you.
All right. You're welcome. So from the embroidery, I'm going to go and retrieve my design again, because this time I want my Hey Sweetie Pie. All right. So when you bring your design up, you'll see that there's all these different colors here on your screen, depending on the machine that you're on. They're just placement lines. So when you digitize a design, you have to put different colors in so that the machine knows when it's supposed to stop for you to do something. So in this case, this is an applique. So we're not going to need to change colors all those times. So don't get scared. It won't be bad. All right. So we don't have to iron the fusible backing on our fabric because it's already been done for us. So at the handy, you're going to want your red piece of fabric and some tape. All right. So the first thing, first of all, we are on page 6. We are on step number 2 because we don't have to do the placement. A couple of numbers that I will refer to throughout our class. You will hear me say step number 2. So this is step number 2. You'll hear me say color stop number 1, color stop number 2, color stop number 3. So that means the color stops on your machine. So if your machine has one that counts the thread changes, in other words, you have a number up there. So I'll zoom in there really pretty soon. All right, so see here, this is going to have 8 color changes on this machine. Doesn't mean I have to change the color 8 times. It means it's going to stop 8 times. That's a color stop. So in example, for this, color stop 1 is the placement line. Color stop 2 is the tack down line. And color stop 3 stitches the center crust placement line. So we'll have steps to do as far as trimming in between, and those will be like step 5, step 8, etc. throughout the project, but it's still only the color stop 2. So right now we are on step number 2 on the first row on page 6, and we are loading the embroidery design. So we've done that. We want to place wash away topping centered in the hoop and covering the entire area. So let's grab our little piece of wash away. Let's grab our little piece of wash away stabilizer, the topper, this guy. And there's enough to pretty much cover the whole hoop. We want to tape it down so it doesn't move around while we're doing embroidery. So let me see if I can get a little closer here. So wiggly, wiggly, there's my stabilizer. And I'm going to go ahead and tape it down. So Michelle's laws, or Michelle's complaints, I guess. Michelle's laws, really, I hate to pick tape out of stitching. I hate to pick tape out of any kind of embroidery stitching. So I want to make sure that when I tape something down, I tape it down outside of the embroidery stitching line. So I'm just going to tape along the edges at the very top, because those are less likely to be involved in stitching later. So I'm just going to tape that there, and then I'm going to come back down to the end down here, and I'm going to tape some down here. So again, I hate to pick tape out of stitching. So I try to avoid it at all costs. You'll only do it once or twice. After that, it'll be your law too. I love stitching, but there's just some moments that aren't fun. Trying to pick tape out of stitching is one of those moments. All right, so I've got my towel on, my hoops on my machine. I'm spreading my towel out, making sure everything's all right. Everybody do a quick check, feel around, make sure you have no towel stuck underneath your embroidery hoop, because that's just not fun. All right, so we are ready to actually stitch out step 1, which is the placement line for the red. So it's color stop 1. It is step number 4. So color stop 1 is this, and it's step number 4 here. All right. Press go, ladies. All right, so now I'm going to take my red fabric and I'm going to tape it over that placement line, making sure I cover all of those lines. So I'm going to peek in the front. And here's something else that I want to kind of bring out that'll make your trimming life easier. When you place something to be trimmed, give yourself at least a little bit at the bottom and the top and the sides that you can grab onto when you're trimming. I know a lot of times you try to, because I try to do it too, cut a piece of fabric that utilizes the least amount of fabric. And that's great. And that works out really well if you're cutting your fabric on a scan and cut. But if you have to actually physically trim this fabric, having it right on the edge makes it really difficult for you to trim. So give yourself enough room that you can see that, you can see that you can get in there to do the trim. All right. And I'm just going to tape the corners. And I'm not pushing the tape down because I have to get it off the topping when I go to trim this. So I'm just kind of just setting it there. Just a little bit. Just so it doesn't wiggle. We don't want it to wiggle while you stitch. All right. And then I am going to stitch the filling tack down line, which is step number 6 and color stop number 2. So make sure I slide that back on there, put my gate down and stitch out that tack down line. All right, so step number 7 says I need to trim the fabric close to the stitching line. So close to, but not through the stitching line. So I'm going to go ahead and remove this hoop off the machine, pull it forward. I'm going to take it over to the table and I will bring you there with me as well. All right. All right, so close to, but not through the stitching line. And I've just found that this is one of those acts of patience that just take your time. You want to go as close to the line as you can without cutting through the line. So I'm going to use the double curve to start with. The single curve are here as well. And I'm just going to snip. And then I'm going to come over here and snip this way a little bit. And notice I'm just taking little snips. I'm just snipping a little bit.
We're not cutting the topping, right?
Nope, you're going to try to leave your topping behind. However, if you made a boo-boo, just tape it back down. So the topping to me is the most important, because you probably guessed right now that the fabric's over the top of the topping. the important part of the topping to me is the top where the letters are. So if you cut through, tape it back down. If you absolutely shredded and mutilated it, then just hope you have a piece that's big enough for the lettering at the top. No judgment here, ladies. This becomes even more tedious when we're actually cutting out where the little hearts are. So really, I'm going to say this again, the important part of the topper, the most important part of the part of the topper, its job is right in here where your lettering is going to go. So if you snagged it, don't worry about it. Just tape it back down. So if you're not actively talking, if you could mute yourself, that would be perfect. Just so we don't have background noise in the video for people that will be watching it later. If you can't, don't worry about it. Just be quiet as a little church mouse. All right. So I am done. I'm going to move back over to the machine. I'll give you guys a couple seconds to catch up. All righty. Ciao. See you later. All right. So I'm going to slip this back on. All right. So the next thing to stitch is the is step number 8, which is the stitch center placement for the crust. So I'm going to go ahead and change out to my crust color, which is the brownish color. And again, each time when you are working on a project like this, each time you take the hoop off and put it back on, just as a rule of thumb, only because I've done this before, is please, please, please just double check to make sure that you didn't catch part of the back, the top part of your towel underneath your hoop, because it's really hard to hang a towel on the oven door that's sewn together. All right, so if you're sewing along at the same pace, we are on step number 8. We are sewing the stitch center crust placement line. So I have changed out to my brown, and here we go. So if you didn't look at the directions for this, we actually have a double crust pie here, ladies, because we have a center crust. And then we also have another crust that's actually goes around after we do the center crust. So we have a double crust. That makes it better, right? Better pie if it has 2 crusts. What do you think, Lorraine? Is it better? Yeah.
Most definitely.
Always, right?
More tastier.
Yep. More crust is better. Just bring on the butter.
Uh-huh.
All right, so my placement line is complete. And now I am going to, I'm going to slide my hoop forward a little bit. I like the smaller projects because to put the fabric down, you don't always have to take the whole hoop off the machine. I'm going to take this, I'm going to do one layer of the felt, just one only. And I'm going to set it down. And I do on this, definitely give yourself, I have tape stuck to my nail, give yourself enough fabric on the top and the bottom so that you have something to grab onto when you need to trim it. So I'm just looking all the way around, making sure I have, yes.
Are you using the bigger piece of felt or the smaller piece?
Both of them are about the same size. I think if you have a smaller piece, I would say use the smaller piece because the bigger piece has to go on the outside. Mine are both the same size.
Well, in the cutting directions, one was bigger than the other.
Oh, okay. So we would be using the smaller one.
Thank
Because
you.
if you look at our pie, we're doing this part of the pie. Later on, we have to do the outside of the pie. So yes, the smaller one would be the inside of the pie.
Thank you.
You're welcome. We don't want our pie to be chintzy on the crust, right? If we're gonna have a double crust, it needs to have the whole crust. All of it.
Yes. Yes.
I don't
Nice
know why
and
I'm
flaky.
thinking about pie. I mean, it's like, it's only the, 5th of January. It's not like I haven't had enough sugar to last me the whole year already, you know? All right. But I guess that's what makes us all so sweet, huh?
So true.
And again, I'm just pinning the corners, making sure that I stay out of the stitching area. And just a little bit of tape holds it in place. You can actually even hold this sometimes with your hands. I think the whole tape thing is more safety than anything else. I would say if you want to hold it down while it stitches, just don't look away.
I think it's because Kimberbell wants to make money selling tape.
Well, you know, that could very well possibly be. However, I have to tell you that Kimberbell is one of my favorite paper tapes and I use it on more projects than just this. So it's just that, and it's kind of a safety issue. I used to say I run a no bleed classroom. You cannot run over your finger with the sewing machine in my classroom but now it's like, if you bleed on Zoom, I don't know. I won't see it. So just pay attention, I think is what it is. Just make sure you're being careful.
Is there a right and a wrong side to the felt?
Not that I can tell.
Okay.
Yeah, I've looked at it up close and I can't tell it. If you see a difference, then by all means, pick the side that you like the best. All right, ladies, this is the moment of truth. We have to trim all these little teeny tiny hearts. We're gonna do it slow. We're gonna do it together. I feel your pain, but it's gonna be wonderful. All right, I'll bring you over with me to the table. Okay. So this is where it separates your scissors from the men from the boys. You really need, for something like this, that's this tiny, first of all, you do need to go slow. Don't be stabbing stuff in there. And you do need some scissors that are relatively sharp at the point. So that's why I usually have two pairs, the double curve here. And then also, since this is felt, I know that you think of these as being snips for thread, but they can also be the snips that start the hole that your scissors go into. So have them handy if the point of your scissors is not really sharp, to make that little hole there. Because what you want to do is cut the felt, but not cut the cherry fabric behind it. So that means we have to kind of get up underneath there and lift it up a little bit. I'm going to start by cutting the easy stuff, which is around the outside. So I'll go back to my double curved scissors for this. Now, this is what we call a raw edge applique. So that means that the raw edge that you see here is the edge that you're going to get. The only thing that's going to happen is it's going to stitch along, it's going to stitch around the outside edge here. So this is like the raw edge. So what you see is what you get. There's no satin stitch that's going to go around this. So you want to be slow and precise when you trim this. And these scissors are not that sharp. So let's see what else I got here. Let's see how these work. These don't have a curve, but let's see. Ooh, but they are sharp and pointy. So they might come in handy.
That would be about like 22.
Michelle,
Yes.
FYI, if you're on septic, be real careful when you remove the
Stabilizer, the
stabilizer.
Marshall. Yes, thank you for bringing that up. I normally will say something about that at the end when it comes time to rinse it off. I am, and you bring up a very, very, very good point. I am not on septic, but I still do not rinse this in my sink or in my washing machine. I have a little tub that I keep. And first of all, when they say to trim as much of the stabilizer away as possible, this is probably one of the reasons why, is you really don't want this to get into your, even if you're not on septic, you really don't want this to get any more than it has to into the water supply. So I usually will wash as much as possible away, or trim as much as possible away. And then I'll also, what I do is I soak it in hair conditioner. I know that sounds really strange, but it's something about, and it can be any kind of hair conditioner. It can just be the cheap stuff. It doesn't matter. I have a little bucket or a little wash tub that I fill with water and hair conditioner, and then I just let it soak in that, and I let it to where it just, all of it just kind of melts away. And then I take that and I dump it in the gutter. I mean, or someplace else. Now, if you've done a good job of trimming all of your stabilizer away, you'll be amazed at how soft your towel is, because it's got the conditioner on it. But also it's not as gummy. There's something about the conditioner. I'm not sure what it is, but there's something about the conditioner that it takes like some of the gummy qualities of the wash away stabilizer, the sticky stabilizer away. So, but yes, if you're on septic, it's definitely a no-no. But even for regular pipes, it's probably not very good.
Thank you for bringing that up. I never knew.
Yeah, just I used to do a lot of baby onesies, and I don't so much anymore. But with a baby onesie or a baby bodysuit, however you call that, I use the adhesive wash away stabilizer to put the baby onesie in the machine, in the embroidery hoop, if I'm going to embroider it, because I want to be able to wash it away before I finish it off. Because I want to be able to put a backing on it that keeps the embroidery away from baby skin. And I can't do that with the sticky stabilizer still on it. Plus, it just doesn't look like a very professional looking gift like that. So normally what I'll do is use the adhesive back stabilizer to the embroidery. And then I very, very carefully take that baby onesie and I sit it in that pan of water with conditioner. Or if, or you can use like a special, like the free Downy, whatever, has no chemicals or nothing in it. No, I just use hair conditioner. It seems to have worked fine, and nobody's ever complained that it gave their baby a rash. And then when I take it out, I do not wring it. I don't twist it. I set it into a towel. I roll the towel and just barely squeeze the excess water out of it. And then I hang it to dry in the shower. And then when it's dry, then I can take the fusible, the soft fusible, and several different embroidery companies make it. And it's geared definitely towards baby wear. But you cut a piece of it and then you iron it to the back of your stitching so that the stitching is not an irritant on a baby's skin. Right. And I will tell you that it makes your project look so professional. My other tip for that is, I don't know how we got on baby projects. It's me, because I see a shiny object somewhere and I chase after it. Is to use one of those wavy blades on your rotary cutter. So if the edges aren't straight, if the edges aren't like cut square, if you cut it with like the wavy rotary cutter, by the time you fuse it onto the baby onesie, you can barely tell from the front that anything's been fused there, and it never comes off. It seems like if you have a straight line, there's always an edge that can come up. But if you use the wavy rotary cutter, there's no edge on that can come up.
Oh, wow. Good idea.
So it really sticks. It stays.
Thanks for the tips.
You're welcome. I used to do a lot of baby wear.
I love doing baby stuff. So thank you.
Yeah, baby stuff's fun. Now the only time I get to do it is when I go to baby showers, but it's fun, Everything's all tiny,
I know.
So sweet. One of the techs here is having a baby. Well, actually, he's not, his wife is, but soon. And ladies, you guys are all gonna get a kick out of this, but don't tell that I told. Just this week, he's like, I think I'm panicking. I'm like, really? He's like, there's a tiny human. I'm like, yeah, there is.
Aww.
All right, so now I'm going towards the center here. See, I don't have any edges here. So these guys are too pointy. I don't want to catch my fabric underneath. So now with this one, I'm going to see, these are curved. So if I poke in, I know I can come right up. I just want to get it started. So I'm just kind of putting the point of it in, and I'm pointing up. So I'm not poking into the red fabric, and I'm just creating a slit down the center of the interior hearts that I can actually get the other scissor tip into. Because once I get it into it, then I'm good to go.
Michelle,
Yes.
my slice of the pie doesn't seem to have the stitching that yours does. And you didn't cut out like those two pieces, yeah.
Yeah, I'm coming back to those. I
Oh,
didn't
okay.
forget them. I just got over here and I'm like, oh, I was on this section. I thought, oh, I should probably tell them about this just in case they're ahead of me. But yes, I will be cutting those out.
Okay,
Then will yours look like mine?
well,
Well,
I guess, yeah.
okay. Ah, you didn't sound really very sure about that.
Well, I'm looking at yours on my iPad and yeah, it will, actually.
Sure it will. You couldn't have gotten lost. We haven't had that many steps. You have to have at least 10 steps before I can lose you.
No, unless my digitizing is different than yours.
Oh, well, Kimberbell doesn't really let that happen. So hopefully it's just that you have to understand, I just kind of get distracted sometime by a shiny object and feel the need to chase after it. And then I'm like, okay, what was I doing before I chased after that shiny thing I couldn't catch? And I come back to trimming the outside of the pie hair.
What if you have like a skill that you just really want done well? We have a gal that like this pumpkin one she did. And she does beautiful work. And she, on the website, you have the size of the what it was.
All right, I've got the inside ones there. Those were the hardest ones. Now I'm going to come back to these two over here.
You're doing that pretty fast, like an expert.
Oh, I don't know, maybe. I just have done a couple of them. I love appliques. I do a lot of appliques. So, yeah. That, and I think what it is you develop. So like these scissors are actually pretty sharp, these snips. You have in your arsenal that one pair of scissors that's your sharper pair of scissors. And at home, I have a pair that I love. My husband used to work in surgery. And so he used to sometimes, the ones that were disposable are not really disposable. It's just that they don't sterilize them. So he'd throw them in the autoclave and then bring them home. And there's one pair that they used, I think when I had back surgery to cut stitches, that's just barely curved at the top. And I'm like, oh my gosh, these are the best scissors. I hope they never get dull. All right. So I've got the single crust of my pie is done. I need to get the other crust on. So I'm going to dump all my scraps here. And I'm going to grab my second piece of felt because I think the next thing that's going to do is my placement line. So you can see that I got close to, but not through. If you get like some fuzzy parts like that, just go in there and trim it off with your snips. The fuzz. Felt is just fuzzy. I mean, it's the nature of the fabric. All right, I'm spinning you guys around back to the sewing machine. At least if I can get the icon to come up. All right. So let me look at what's up next. I'm going to go ahead and put this back on the machine. And again, I'm just going to remind you because I don't want you to be the one person that does it. Make sure that when you put your hoop back on that you have all parts of your towel out from underneath your hoop so that you don't sew the back. or the side or the anything to the hoop itself, because that just wouldn't be fun. All right. So I have completed step number 11. I am on color stop 5 of 8, meaning it's going to stitch the braid crust placement. Ooh, I love a braided crust. Let's go for it. Okay, that little bing bing let me know that it's done with my placement line. So I'm just going to slide it forward, and I'm going to tape my other piece of felt over the top of it. Again, make sure down here at the bottom that you give yourself enough to grab onto when it comes time to trim, because you know, felt is kind of one of those things that's a little bit harder to trim. So it'd be nice if it would easy if you give yourself enough to grab onto. I can't find the end on that piece of the paper tape. I was going to use paper tape instead. So I'll just use my little leftover pieces here. What's nice is with the felt is after it gets a little bit of fur on it, it's a little bit easier to get off of the fabric. So I do not always use reused pieces, but in this case, it's going to help because the fur is going to make it, that's from the last piece of felt, it's going to make it easier for me to get this piece off. All right, so I've just got my 4 corners taped down. I'm going to push my hoop back on. And we just completed step 9 by doing this. So we are on step 10, which is color stop number 6. Yep. Color stop number 6 is going to sew next. Oh no, we are on, yeah, color stop. Oh, yeah. Yeah, color stop 6. I'm right. I got it. I'm here. I'm with it. So I don't know some of you, I haven't had you in class before. And I know that some of you are all over on in different cities and different states. And I think that's absolutely fabulous. So here we lost power. In my neighborhood, about half the neighborhood lost power and about half the neighborhood still had power for about, I think, almost 5 days. New Year's Eve till 4 days, New Year's Eve till yesterday. What's nice about my neighborhood is everybody always pools together. So I had to laugh. I took a couple pictures that my kitchen the other day and my dining room looked like a hotel room with USBs plugged everywhere, charging phones. And I had 4 crock pots plugged in, which was actually kind of good. You know, it's like I feel good that that we know each other well enough. Even if we come from entirely different walks of life, even if we have entirely different, you know, belief systems, we know each other well enough that says, hey, I really need to plug a crock pot in because I can't cook dinner. Do you mind? And I'm like, yeah, sure. Just plug it in. Just let me know when you want to come pick it up. We were not the shower house. We had one in the neighborhood that was a shower house, but there was a guy in the neighborhood, which was very generous of him, that went down because if you don't live here in town, the pepper mill and all of the casinos on the row, which is the Silver Legacy, the El Dorado, and Circus, did rooms for the locals for between $45 and $60 a night for the nights that everybody had no power. So what a guy in the neighborhood did is rent down and rented 2 rooms and actually got about 20 room keys so that people could go in and out and take showers and charge phones and stuff. It's like they had the room. They didn't really necessarily want to sleep in the hotel. They just wanted a hot shower.
That's nice.
Isn't it?
That was
I
so
thought
nice.
I thought it was really nice of him to do that.
Why is the power out? Is there a power grid
Yeah,
shortage or something?
well, what happened is the grid went down because we got this really heavy, it's called the Nevada cement. It's when the snow comes down and it's really wet. And then the temperature drops and it freezes it. So the weight of it on the power lines, we heard the transformers blow. And it's
wow.
like so many of them went down all at the same time that it just took them a while to get everything back up. And then Patrick was saying that one of the grids was actually a grid out of Las Vegas that runs all the way from Las Vegas to Reno, which is it's a 7.5-hour car drive from Reno to Las Vegas. So that's a long grid.
Right.
And I have to laugh because I've driven to Las Vegas a couple of times, only a couple of times. And there's something like 247 telephone poles between Reno and Vegas. And I only know that because there really is nothing else to see.
Wow.
So, but yeah, everybody seems to have power again now, but I'm really grateful that the neighbors felt like they could come over. And I know that they would do the same for us, you know.
It's good you guys
really-
stick together.
Yeah, you know, it's really, those kind of neighborhoods don't always happen. You know, we have a really mixed bag of people that live in the neighborhood, all ages, with kids, without kids, with young kids, with, you know, grandkids, with, you know, adult grandkids. It's just really a lot of different ages and everybody just kind of looks out for each other. We have one woman that's in the neighborhood that's in her 80s and her husband passed away, I don't know, a few years ago. There's a person on her block that's assigned to check on her. You know, when stuff like this happens. And then once that person has checked on her, made sure that she's all right, then there's a couple other people that'll step in and see what she might need so that everything gets done, you know.
That's so nice because, you know, as human beings, that's what we all need to do is stick together and help each other out.
Isn't it?
Yes.
It isn't. It's an unusual concept, you know. And I just wish that, you know, I'm glad that we're there. I really am. I mean, really, we had 3 block parties in the neighborhood. One that had a taco truck, which had my vote because I don't think there's anything better than tacos. And another one that had a DJ, and we raised money for, I want to say it was one of the local kids, some kind of kids thing. But yeah, it's just fun. We all get together and, you know, in everyday life, we're not going to be calling each other going, hey, do you guys want to go to the movies or anything like that? But in any other time, we're all together. Okay, so we have our braid. Oops, I'm sorry, I didn't pause the camera. Sorry if I gave you a little shock there with the moving camera. All right, so we have our little double crust braid. It's all stitched down. So we are on step number 15. We're going to trim this. Now, you can see that this kind of has little loop-de-doos where the braid is. I am not trimming in there. I'm just going to trim a straight circle around. And that's what I did on the other one as well. I mean, there's punishment and there's a glutton for punishment. And trimming in all of those little curves would probably make me nuts. Plus, it's felt. The first time you wash it, it's going to go in those curves all by itself. All right, so I've got my little, what am I using? The double curves. And I'm just going to go, I'm going as close to the stitching line, but not, obviously not through it. Still taking little bites.
Michelle,
Yes.
do you remember those old dishes, pie plates that had the recipe inside of it?
I do. I'm glad you brought that up. You know why? Because
Why?
So I make gifts out of those things. So here's what I do. If I can find those in a thrift store or a vintage store, I love those vintage pie plates. I will buy them. I will make a towel like this that has the pie. So listen up, ladies, for next year. And then I will put all the ingredients to make the pie that are dry ingredients in the plate and wrap it up. And that's a gift. You know, it's like, and people that have gotten them are like, oh, wow, this is so cool. But yeah, I love those. I have a couple of them. I have one that's an apple pie and one that's a cherry pie. That's my, my embroidery machines and sewing machines are kind of my obsession, but I'm going to tell you a secret. I harbor a secret Pyrex obsession with vintage Pyrex. And I have a lot of it that goes back to the bold colors that they had from like the sets of the like 40s and 50s. And I use it. I mean, it's not just to look at my house. I do use it. So when you open my refrigerator, you might want to put sunglasses on because it's pretty bright in there with all those bright colors. But yeah, I love those. I love those pie plates. Those are so fun. This would be a perfect towel to wrap. Even if you could find one that had like cookie recipes there. I saw one once that had like chocolate chip cookies but I didn't buy it. And I always regretted that I didn't buy it because that would be a good one too, where you could put in chocolate chip cookie stuff and the chocolate chips, the nuts and all that stuff. And then wrap it up as a gift. You know, it's not something they're ever going to get a duplicate of, right?
Right.
Does Kimberbell have a chocolate chip cookie design?
Ooh, that's a good question. I don't know. I think we maybe need to go on the website and figure that out.
Yeah.
They have several.
Oh, good.
Somebody's gonna enable us. All right. So look at how far we are. We don't have that much left to go. We only have like a couple of stitches left to go. So here's what we're gonna do. We're ready to just put this on. We've trimmed the felt. We're just gonna stitch now. It's okay, Alex, they're empty. That box on the bottom is empty. The top box, if you dump it over, is fine. Nothing in there can break. All right, so now it's important. Okay, so now this is important. This is why you have topper up here. It's for this lettering. All right, so I have my one piece up here that was sticking it down. And because I truly hate peeling it out of stitching, I'm gonna remove some of this and I'm gonna just pin in areas where I know it's not going to be stitched. I don't think it's gonna be anyway. It probably wouldn't have been in the other, but I just really don't like pulling tape out of it. So, all right. So we're gonna go put this back on the machine. And then we have two different color changes. One for the red, and it's gonna sew hay and 2 hearts. And then pink for the sweetie, and it's gonna sew sweetie and 1 pink heart. And then we're gonna tear away the excess topping. And then from the back of the design, we're gonna trim away as much of the stabilizer as we can. Again, having nice small scissors makes this a job that's a little bit easier to do and maybe get closer. Be careful though, always when you're trimming stabilizer from the back, because there's always that risk that you might catch something you don't want to catch, like the fabric of whatever you're stitching. Come on. Well, it's not.
Can you please repeat what the name of that stabilizer is that you use at the very beginning that you scored? What kind of stabilizer is that?
That is adhesive back wash away.
Adhesive back wash away. Thank you.
So adhesive back comes in a lot of different styles. You can get wash away, you can get tear away, you can get cut away. What I like the best, I mean, a lot of people hate it, they don't use it at all. What I like the best about it is it makes some things much easier to embroider because you don't have to put them in the hoop. And sometimes not putting something in the hoop makes it easier and prettier. So as someone that does embroidery and does sell it, there are things I won't put in a hoop because when I take them out of the hoop, they have a mark from the hoop that I can't get rid of. And I don't really want to iron. I don't really want to do any of that stuff. I just want my stuff to be done when it comes out of the hoop. So there's things that I just don't, I use adhesive back stabilizer. I used adhesive tear away. I use adhesive cutaway. I use adhesive wash away. That way I can just hoop the stabilizer like we did today and just lay product, lay whatever I'm doing on top of it. I might run a basting stitch to hold it down, but for the most part, I want it to be clean when it's done. I want it to just be done.
Right.
Did you know that the needle works better if you put thread in it?
Really, really, really crazy. And it's
All right, we're on our last color stop 8 of 8. That would be the pink thread. And we are motoring right along. Our pies are looking yummy and delicious.
Yes, and the crust looks flaky.
It does, doesn't it look flaky though? Looks like they did in fact use enough butter, real butter.
Mm-hmm.
I love butter. I think that butter just tastes amazing. Although my grandmother used to use Crisco a lot, but I don't know the Crisco that she used to use. I don't think it's the same as the Crisco they have today, but for this, a lot of the baking that she used to do, she used to use Crisco.
Mm.
What picture went away, Kathy? the one, or Karen. Happy, what picture went away? The picture of the machine sewing?
No,
Does anybody
I can't see me where I see all the people.
Okay,
I'm not
so, do you see, first of all, we have a lot of people in class, so it could be that you're down further on the page and you have to, should be an arrow at the bottom that says you can move to the next page. If not, are you in gallery view? So to see if you're in gallery view, when you look at the Zoom thing, in the upper right corner is this little icon that says view, and you can go from a spotlight view to gallery view, so you can still spotlight the sewing machine and then see all your friends that are sewing with you. I can see your square.
it doesn't seem to matter whichever view. I'm just black. This happened to me the last Zoom I was in. My
If you're
picture was
just
there for a few
looking-
minutes and it went away.
Yeah, if you're looking at you, then it could be that it's you're blacking out on your end. So I don't know. Do you have a good, powerful internet signal where you're at, or does it kind of ebb and flow?
You never know. Here I have Spectrum, and it's 1 minute it's fine, the next minute it's buffering forever. So
Okay, well maybe that's what's going on. Is it's just buffering.
maybe, yeah. Okay. Well,
worries.
anyway, just wanted you to know I'm actually here, but
Okay, I can still see your box. I can still see your
Okay.
box. So I know
all
you're.
right.
And
Okay.
don't feel bad, because a lot of the ladies prefer not to have their pictures on the Zoom. I just have a lot of black boxes that just have names, and that's okay. I mean, I'm okay
Right.
with that. Because I mean, I don't often clean my sewing room. And so if it's been a bad day, you're not seeing me either.
Right. I understand. Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome. This is like the funnest project. I've done a lot of them, and I all of them are always fun, but this one's just been really fun. Maybe because I really like pie. I have no idea.
I can't wait to do mine, Michelle. My box just arrived by UPS
Oh, yay.
just a few minutes ago. So
Oh
I've
my
been
gosh.
watching,
I swear to
and I
God,
guess I'll
sometimes
start off when we finish.
shipping is just like a nightmare anymore, isn't it?
Yes, it is. It absolutely is.
Oh my goodness. I just got done doing my last little heart, and it's ready. I'm done. So I'm going to show you how I trim on the back so that we can get that stabilizer off, so you can throw more in the garbage than you throw down your sink. All right. First of all, look at that. How stinking cute is this? All right, so I'm going to get this off first. And so there is a difference on toppers. And I learned this difference painfully at the beginning of the pandemic because, everybody was closed. You couldn't get anything. And I needed topper. So I thought, well, I'm just going to go to Amazon and just buy topper. And it's not the same. When you have nice topper, it actually pulls away cleanly from what you want it to pull away from. If you have topper that's not nice, it's naughty, then it ends up leaving little, I call schnibble frizz everywhere. And you just can't, this is pulling out away nicely around the outside of my pie. But if it's not, then it leaves all these little pieces behind, which are really kind of hard to pick out if you want to pick them out as if you're doing this as a gift. So make sure it's nice. So this in here, I'm going to use this little tool from OESD and I'm just going to come up underneath it and just lift it on one side because that way I'll be able to tear it from the other side. Because I really want to get all of this out.
Oh my gosh, that was nuts. Yes, ain't the police officer.
Look at that. It all tore out. That's what you're looking for in a topper. You want it when you tear it to actually tear off of most places. So the only thing that's left is like the inside of the Y, the inside of the H. You want to be able to get underneath it and just have it come off of whatever it is you've got it stuck to. You've got it down on.
So Michelle, did you
Yes.
guys use the Kimberbell wash away topper or
We
is that
no,
a
we
different brand?
the Kimberbell one is really nice too. If you have that one, I believe that this one is the baby lock one, and it's nice as well. So you just want to make sure you get a nice one. That one I'm gonna just stick my, not that one. Where's this in here to get in there? Because once I get done pulling this, I'd rather spend a couple of extra seconds pulling this because look at when that I went to pull the E, that whole E came off all at one time. And that's what you're looking for. You don't want to be sitting down here picking this stuff forever. There, the whole E came out all at once. I only expect to have like this, I have to use tweezers, this I have to use tweezers, but hopefully for everything else, I don't have to use tweezers. If I can catch the edge, then it should pull out.
Do you also sell the scissors?
Yes, we do. The scissors that I'm using, all of them today, are actually part of this Femore scissor kit. You get you get the 5 of your favorite pairs of scissors, basically, the ones you use the most, but we do sell those. So I'm just going to kind of get in there a little bit. And this is what you want from your tearaway. And tweezers to get those last little bits. All right. So now that I've done this, my topper is gone everywhere except just right here and right here, which I can get underneath with tweezers and pull it out. So now I have nothing I have to wash away. This can all go in the garbage can. I have nothing I have to wash away on the top. The back's going to be a different story. I will have stuff that's got to wash away there, but I don't have any on the top. It's all gone. Like all of this can go in the trash. All right. I'm gonna, and notice that I left it in the hoop to do this. It's easier to actually have the pressure if you just leave it in the hoop when you pull that off. All right, so now I'm gonna push the front hoop forward, get that out of there. And then I'm gonna actually kind of pull my stuff away from the sticky first a little bit. That way I can get in there and trim around it. And I always trim from the back because you want to make sure that while you're trimming, you're not gonna trim through the fabric or anything. All right, so I'll lay this down flat. I'm gonna go through this over here. All right, I'm good, but I'm not, I know when to cry uncle. Some of this will have to get washed out. But I'm gonna take my time, just like I did with the other trimming. And I'm gonna try and get as much of it off as I can before I have to rinse it. And then there's not that much that has to rinse out, so. See, you thought that tool was just for turning points, didn't you? Surprise, surprise. It's good for a lot of things. The little skinny tip on it's good for lifting stabilizer up.
Michelle,
Yep,
do you
Yes.
know how far out the sewing machines are for repair? Or for
do
cleaning?
not.
Just cleaning.
I do not. I did not hear this morning. I don't think they actually mentioned anything on the live feed on the machines either. I don't know. Usually it isn't much more than about a week and a half. I think the big rush was before Christmas. And the last time, I don't know if this is good indication or not, but the last time I went to go get a vacuum to bring it out, there wasn't that many machines in the lineup up front there. So I don't know. I would say call Patrick or call one of the techs and find out, but I don't think it's that long. I think it's like within a week, probably.
Okay, yeah, I hate to bother them. I know they're so busy all.
Yeah, I think I don't think it's that long, but I don't know because I didn't hear. All right, so if I wanted to get even more constructive, I could go in here a little bit, but you know what? I would be happy with this. It's nice and it's trimmed, and you can trim the stray threads if you want. Do you know what I do though is I don't have one here. I lost it. Is I usually just take a cigarette lighter to these. I take the flame and very quickly, and it just shrivels that polyester thread right up, and you have a nice finish back there. Just don't set your towel on fire because that would be sad. Yeah, I can't get in there, so I'm not even going to worry about that. So there's most of it off. The rest will come off when I soak it. It's not a lot of stabilizer left behind. So there we go. There we have it, ladies. I hope you had an amazing time today.
Thank you.
And I hope to see you again soon.
Thank
And I hope everybody had fun.
Thank
I
you.
sure did. I
Thank
always
you.
like it.
Thank you.
Thanks, ladies.
Thank you, Michelle.
You're
Thank you,
welcome.
Michelle.
Nice meeting everyone. Thank you.
Thank you.
You too.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye now.
Bye.